Hello and welcome to this FSElite video. I am Callum and I am here in the Airbus A330 from Aerosoft, and I'm in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's right, the Airbus A330 from Aerosoft is finally here, and we're going to do this very quick flight over from the Dominican Republic over to Puerto Rico in this first flight video. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to literally just, I'm going to take you through the cockpit itself, I'm going to take you through the external model, give you a little bit of a tour, and then we're going to set her up, fly her over to Puerto Rico, do the approach, do the landing, and then I will capture any final thoughts as well. And then throughout I'll just give you some commentary too. There is going to be a first look article over on the website, so be sure to check that out. I'll put a link down in the description below. But for now, let's take a little visual tour of the external model of this aeroplane. Okay, so here we are outside of the aircraft itself. I do have GSX running, so hence all of the ground service equipment just connected to the aeroplane itself right now. So all of these kind of ground service things here are from GSX. They are not included with the aeroplane itself. But just taking an immediate look at this external model, and I am impressed. I am super impressed with the level of detail in the modeling. It looks really, really nice, and as we get closer here to kind of the door, you'll see just some of the additional detail on the texturing itself. In my opinion, it's a little bit of a clean aircraft. You know, there's not any kind of dirt or grime or any associated sort of textures to the aircraft, but visually, just kind of from afar, it does look really, really nice. So let's just take a little bit of a closer look at some of the other elements as well. You notice this kind of this reflective material PBR texturing happening here, and you can see it's nicely reflecting the pushback tug just underneath, and it also does reflect the ground detail as well, which is also a nice little additional feature. Here we have the cargo bay, and it's surprisingly detailed in here actually. The cargo bay, and I am very surprised of how detailed it is, because when we look at the virtual cockpit, yeah, you'll see for yourself what I mean in just a second. And so let's head out here, get our view kind of at the wheels here. Oh, we can just see some of the ports and some of the vents here, and again you can kind of see the detail. You can see some of the rivet, my Bristolian came out there, some of the rivet detail as well. Looking very, very nice actually on the belly of the airplane. But here's the landing gear and the struts, and you can also see some of the hydraulic lines and other fuel pump lines up here in the wing area as well. I have to say, this is really, really nice. Some very, very impressive modeling and detail here. Just love the detail on the wheels and the brakes. Again, they're super clean, and it's not like they've ever been used apparently. I mean, it's not the highest detailed airplane ever, but again, considering the cost, the modeling here is super nice. Looking at the engine, the fan blades, you know, they're all looking pretty good. It's a very nice engine, but again, super clean. It's obviously a brand new airplane. But yeah, just in general, I'm really liking the level of detail on the external model that we can see from the airplane. Anyway, I'm going to take you on the rest of the tour of the airplane. I love the wings on the A330, they're really thick, carries a lot of fuel. And here we've got the wingtip and the lights. But yeah, overall, I quite like the modelling. Some of you may find little intricacies here and there which aren't perfect, and yeah, there are some areas that probably could be a little bit more detailed, but on the whole, this is a really nice airplane to look at visually. And I love this livery as well. I've never flown this livery until now, but it's actually really, really nice. And if you're ever familiar with kind of these types of views, yeah, it does look pretty good as well. So yeah, overall, external model, pretty good. Now let's just have a little tour through the virtual cockpit itself. I'll just kind of pan the camera to the front so we can kind of get the full experience of the virtual cockpit. I'm just going to pretend I'm a passenger here for a second. All about that immersion. So anyway, here's the entry, the L1 door. Let's go in, and yeah, this is the virtual cabin. Just pan the camera around. There's a reason the curtain is closed, because when you go through, yeah, that's what we get. I think this is still very much from the P3D era. I can't remember. I don't think the Aerosoft A330 and P3D had a virtual cockpit. I think it was the kind of the painted on windows. But this is what we have. And when you consider other aircraft add-ons, yeah, this is poor. Oh, and the sound just cut out when we get past a certain point. Oh, not great. But we can get at least a wing view through the window. Oh, the sound's back. But yeah, not great. Not my favourite virtual cabin by far. But I guess for those who don't spend any time in the cabin, don't really care about this, so that's fine. So now that we've done our external tour and our virtual cabin tour, now let's take a look in the cockpit itself. Okay, here we are in the cockpit. Yeah, overall first impressions, I like what I see. There's definitely a very clean texture fill. Again, that's very reminiscent of the exterior as well. But overall, yeah, this is just looking pretty sweet, and there's a lot to like in terms of the resolution. Just looking at the overhead panel here, lots of clear text, some like scuffs and scratches actually, and in kind of certain areas. But I will say some things, I don't know if this will work yet, but just looking at the autopilot, for example, this green light here that indicates it's turned on, it's very dark and it's not very vibrant. I don't know if that's a realism thing, I don't know if that's an art direction thing, but I would prefer it just to be a little bit more visually light. As for the displays themselves, if we get super close, they still maintain readability. It's not quite using the same sort of like pixel texture or level of detail as some other add-ons that exist, but legibility once you are pretty close is still definitely fine, and when you're in the actual seat itself, yeah, the displays are fine. Some of the anti-aliasing could be to do with my settings, may differ on yours, but overall pretty happy with them. I will say the colouring seems a bit off. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe someone in the comments can kind of correct me or indicate as to what I'm on about. But yeah, I'm not really feeling kind of this block green or the colour green that they're using to display these Airbus textures, and especially when we get down to the MCDU as well. It's very much a bright, bold, in-your-face colour. But again, this could be just a personal preference of mine. And yeah, there's other details in the cockpit as well. We've got the EFB, there's one on there, one on this side as well. Got the tray table which works on both sides, lovely. And then yeah, other details, you've obviously got the observer seats as well back here. From what I can see, there's no click spots to move or animate them or do anything like that, and the flight deck door is firmly shut, tight, yep. And then you've got your safety equipment, and oh, the window's open. Pretty nice. We can close them. So yeah, some nice sound effects. Cockpit overall. Oh, and the sun visor comes down as well. It's a weird, you have to like track it down with your mouse, but it does provide this kind of orangey glow. But as you can just see, it's not a very smooth transition at all. It's a as it moves up. It's just a little bit weird, but yeah, it's fine. So yeah, we're gonna do this flight. We're here in the Dominican Republic, and we're gonna be flying over to Puerto Rico. So I'm gonna do the cockpit prep and get everything set up. Then we're going to do some engine startups, and I'll let you guys listen to the sounds, because I think the sounds are actually one of the highlights of this product. And then we're going to take off, fly to Puerto Rico, and then we'll do the approach landing and so forth. Just to let you know, Puerto Rico definitely does not accept the A330, but it's a cool scenery, and just fancy doing it. So if you're a stickler for the immersion and a stickler for the details, this is not the video for you guys. This is just very much a very raw first look at the airplane. I've literally only had it for a day or so. I've not really done many flights in it, and I'll explain why as we go through the flight. But yeah, this should just hopefully give you a really good idea of what to expect if you were to purchase the Aerosoft A330 when it does come out, which I think is later today, or maybe it was already out, I don't remember. Anyway, so let's do some cockpit prep. I've already pre-planned my sim brief profile, but let's just kind of take you through some of getting things all set up and ready. So let's start actually over on the EFB. So this is the EFB, and I quite like the layout. It's very clean in terms of the design, but there are some things that I'm not particularly fond of, which I'll talk about in a minute. But anyway, let's just go up here to the settings. So you can obviously put in like your sim brief ID, you can do your tablet theme, you can do some virtual keyboards for when you input the data and text here. ATC correct reference, so this looks at different networks, VATSIM and IVA, and then puts them over in this ATC stations over here. There isn't any online, but it comes up as like a box type of thing here. Now what would have been cool is if I could click this box, and then it automatically pre-programs down in my radio stack here, but it doesn't do that. And I know that's not super realistic, but sometimes when things are getting too much and you just need like a really quick way of adding that, that would have just been a nice little touch. But maybe that will come in an update, but it's not a big deal. Then you've got aircraft settings, so you can sync your altimeters, you can do your IRS in realistic, fast, or instant, and then you've got a couple of other options as well that you can use. So I do have a separate tiller axis, so I'm going to tick yes. Why that doesn't kind of come under maybe a hardware setting, I'm not really sure. But yeah, in the hardware settings you can customize the thrust lever calibration, you can set your detents as well, change if there's 1 or 2 axis, reverse on there, and then down here you can change the flaps and speed brake calibration as well, which is particularly useful if you've got the thrustmaster set as well. So yeah, plenty to like here in terms of the settings. You close that. Okay, so let's fetch now our data from SimBrief. So fetch that OFP. Fetching. Definitely have internet. Okay, maybe I don't have internet. Okay, so looks like I had an internet issue, and now there's no way for me to reset this fetch OFP, which is, I guess, okay, but now I can't fetch the OFP. Okay, sorry about that. So there was an issue where my internet connection dropped and I had already fetched the OFP, but it wasn't doing anything, so I had to restart the sim. Just keep that in mind if you're ever using this. So let's fetch the OFP, and as you can see we're here in the Dominican Republic, heading over now to Puerto Rico. So we get our flight details. We can click on these dots here to give us some more details, and we can actually see our OFP here. We can see some weather data, we can refresh it, We can enter a new airport ICAO if we wanted to. Oh, let's refresh that. Refresh that. Nope, got to type it back in. Okay, cool. And then yeah, you get the TAFs as well for your departure, arrival, and your ultimate as well. So yeah, a nice clean design like that. And then here you've got your fueling and your boarding, so you can instantly do those. And then down here you've got your ground handling stuff, so we've got our cones, chocks, we've got our pack stores over in here, we've got our cargo bays open, and then you can request things like your fueling. You can change the load state to one of these. I'm going to touch that. And then you've got your pushback jetway and other items here. If you wanted to add your charts, you can very easily add Navigraph or Navdata Pro, and then you've got this handy little map here. If you want to see what's nearby, you can pinpoint that to you, or you can change the direction as well. No way to make it any bigger, and there's no way to use a different kind of map. You have to use leaflet, which is fine. Anyway, that's kind of it. Oh, and in the payload and performance, you can then also adjust your fuel, etc. here. Your payload, you've got your CG chart, and you've got your performance calculator as well. So we'll come back to this in just a moment when we're setting up the aeroplane. So if we just grab that, everything's synced, lovely. So we should have 10,900 kilos of fuel in the tanks. Did that import? Yep, beautiful. And then our weights and stuff are down here too. So if we just go to our CG chart, you'll be able to see here what our takeoff weight is, our zero fuel weight, and we're all within the boundaries of what we can fly. So we've got our zero fuel weight CG here and our takeoff weight CG here as well. So that is the EFB. Obviously we've got kind of other sections as well. The autopilot panel, you can adjust the values. QNH was extremely low, let's put that to the correct value. So overhead panel, as we said, everything looks really nice up here. I've kind of preset everything that I needed to. One issue I did find in this recording anyway, and I've had it a couple of times now, I click the GPU when I've got GSX loaded, and the GPU just doesn't ever turn up. Just never turns up. So I've switched on the APU for now, just to get some power into the aircraft. So let's program the MCDU right now and get us going. Again, this is very much a to B type of aircraft. This doesn't have all that system depth or functionality that you would expect, but there are some systems in this airplane, which I'll talk about in a moment, that are not currently in the build that I'm in. Whether they'll come in a release build after I've done this video, I don't know, but I'm recording this based on the information I've got, and I'll give you some more context in just a moment too. So if we go into FM1 and let's start setting up the aeroplane. So obviously we've got all the different functionality of the airplane. So if we go to our init page, so we are at MDPP, and we are going over to TJ Papa Sierra. So I don't have a plan kind of saved locally, so let's request that from SimBrief, assuming this works. Okay, so we're going to do things manually here, just to kind of get things underway, and yeah, a bit of a strange one. I will see if I can figure that out, and I will put a comment down below if I do understand what's going on. So let's just fill out this data here right now. So we are flying FWI 990, just a bit of an imaginary flight. We've got 205 passengers, and our cost index is going to be 90, nice front flight, and we're going to be cruising at 24,000 feet. Beautiful, so all that information is in here. Wind, not implemented, so not able to import our winds, which is not great on a, especially when we do like a long haul flight, which is obviously what the A330 is able to do. We do have a tailwind there of 23 knots today, so let's put that in here. Oh, okay, so that does work. And let's put in now our block fuel. I know I'm not doing this in the right order, and I don't pretend to be a real pilot. I'm just a simmer, and I'm just kind of showing you this flight. Zero fuel weight, so we can grab that from our EFB and the payload performance. So there's no immediate, what I can see, like an actual figure. So let's just refer now to our OFP. So our OFP says our zero fuel weight is 144.1. And then the CG for the zero fuel weight, which is here, is 26.9. So we can add all of that information over here. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Right, so that's the initialization. Let's do our flight plan now. So luckily we've got a very easy route today. We're going to be departing out of here on the easterly facing runway, so runway 08. And then we're going to be going on the Cody 3 Charlie departure. So we can end that in here. And that actually sends us to the one and only waypoint we do have before we then approach Puerto Rico. So we can now program the arrival. So we're going to be doing an RNAV approach at runway 12, and we're going to be going via MAS. Insert that here, and actually we can get rid of that discontinuity. Wonderful. That was it. That was easy for us. And let's see if that has now worked on here. So go back to the flight plan. Cool. So one thing you will notice is all the waypoints are connected by straight lines. There's no curves on the navigation display, especially this one here. And this is going to be a problem when we're in the air, and I will demonstrate that shortly. But for now, we're going to assume everything's up and running. We've programmed what we need to down here for the flight plan, so now let's just do our takeoff calculations. So if we go now over to the performance tab, we can put in our, oops, that's incorrect, MDPP, runway 08, so we're going to collect that, and then we can import the weather. Lovely. And then we can use this toggle here to grab our weight. So we've got our takeoff CG, we've got our gross weight, and then we can choose which flaps, so we can optimize it, anti-ice, thrust, so we're quite light, so we should be able to use some flex, and then let's calculate. And there we go. So we immediately have our V speeds, got our flap setting, we've got our flex, and we've also got what we need to set our trim at. Now let's see what we can do here. If we click that button, does it come over? Nope. Okay, so let's input this now. So it would help if I remembered. So flap span, and we're going to be trimming to 5.1. Flex temperature is going to be 41. And our takeoff speed, so we got V1 139, rotate 139, 142 for our V2, 143. So 139. Let's do 140 because V1 speed is already that. And V3. Okay. So that's everything that we've needing to now program. It's now programmed. Okay, so I mentioned earlier there are some things in this airplane that are not yet functional. So one of those things is, if we go to the MCDU very quickly, we've got ATSU down here. So if we click that, none of the menus are available. This is kind of odd, because when we get in the air, these will light up, and it will say, or in fact now it says not implemented. Click over here, not implemented. And this not implemented is going to come up a couple of times, which is actually very, very frustrating. But anyway, enough of that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to push back, we're going to get those engines started, and what we will do is I will have the engines, I will do an internal engine start, and then we will go external for the second engine start. So what we're going to do is we're going to get everything ready to push back. So we've got our APU started, we've got our parking brake set. Let's make sure everything else is closed up. We can get rid of the cones. That GPU, I can click it and click it and click it and nothing changes, which does not help the situation. And we've got our autopilot ready, pretty much ready to go. As I said, I'm not trying to do this like a real world flight, I'm just purely trying to get everything ready so we can get up and underway and just see what this aircraft is really like. Love how those stairs are all in sync. Anyway, you can hear the APU in the background. It's actually quite a nice APU sound. It gets very loud once we get nearer to the back. So we're going to be departing off the easterly facing runway, so we want to make sure that we are having our nose to the right. Turn on our beacon light. Okay, pushback. So I'm going to wait till the pushback is complete before doing the engine start so we can really listen to those sounds. In fact, actually, no, we can do an engine start from the internal whilst we're pushing back. So let's turn off those packs in preparation. Now, I do find the click spots are a bit weird, but a little bit of a quick movement here and we can get back. Okay, so packs are off. Let's change the ignition. Make sure the thrust is idle. Yeah. Okay. Alright then, let's do engine start on number 2. Okay, that's 2 good engines now started. Let's set the parking brake, auto brake to max, and let's just tidy up some bits down here. Just set this. Make sure everything else is all set up and ready to go. Although this doesn't actually work. Okay, so GSX is cleared. Everything's good to go. And then we can do some kind of test. Oh, let's just check out the eCam actually whilst we're down here. So right now we've got the wheel well, the wheels showing us and kind of the temperatures, the PSI, etc. Obviously we have the engine screen here on the lower eCam. We've got the bleed, we've got pressure, we've got electrical AC, electrical DC, hydraulics, the APU status. In fact, that reminds me, let's turn that off. So that should now start to shut down. We've then got our conditioning, we've got our doors, which currently are all prepped. I don't know how you arm the slides. Wheels, as we just saw. Flight controls. Okay, so let's just do a very quick test. So we see that our pitch has been set. I think that's done it automatically because I certainly didn't set that. So yeah, full up, full down, full rudder. That's not working, even though they're moving. Are they moving outside? Okay, that's weird. Let's see if this setting has screwed that. Turn that off. Not really sure why that's not working. But hey, this is the joys of doing these types of flights, so you can see the problems that we also go through. And then we've also got our fuel page. So let's see if the rudders work once we get underway here. Okay, so my tiller's working. Yeah, my tiller is working. Whoops. Let's see if the brakes work. Yeah. Okay. Oh, now the okay, maybe, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but the rudder is now working when I'm not on the parking brake. Is that, let's see if that's, no. Okay. Not sure why that was the case. Anyway, oh, flaps. So flaps 1. Cabin's ready. Takeoff systems are normal. Okay, so let's taxi now to the runway, and I will just be quiet so you can listen to the aircraft and it's as it's moving. So as I'm taxiing along here, it feels quite nice to taxi. It's got some nice smooth movements on the wheels here on the tiller. It does need quite quite a bit of power even at these light weights in order to gain any sort of momentum. And I've also read some other comments from other people who've got access to the plane. They also felt kind of the same about how this airplane feels. Anyway, we're going to enter the runway now, so I'm just going to turn us on like a Christmas tree and take a left here so we can do a 180 turn on the runway to line us up for departure here on 08. So as we approach the runway at the end of the runway here, we're going to be taking a right hand kind of turn before then circling back round in order to line up nicely on 08. So we'll slow down just a little bit to make sure we can get the full momentum as we make this very sharp turn. Trying our best to follow that yellow line as best as we can. Okay, let's speed this right round. Slight overshoot there, but pretty successful turn. So now let's just get us lined up nicely on the runway. And then we're going to set takeoff thrust, and then I'm going to be quiet so you can just listen to the sound of the aircraft actually taking off. Okay, we're airborne. Sorry for that overspeed. So this is what I was kind of preluding to earlier about why it's a problem this aircraft doesn't have the curves. I'm just going to turn the packs on and I'll talk about it. So without those curves, or at least even if they're not there, this aeroplane overshoots every single time on a waypoint, and quite a fair amount. And we're going to see it a couple of times on this route, because I've already practiced this route a few times just to get an idea of how this actually does work. So as you can see, we're probably like, I don't know, a third of a mile, not even that, a couple hundred yards away from this waypoint here, which when you're trying to do a very precision approach, which these aircraft are meant to be able to do, this is bad. And it also does this kind of like wibbly wobbly, trying to then get back onto course as quickly as it can. So we're going to climb and we're going to continue with the flight, and when we get to some other waypoints, because this is a very straight route, I will show you exactly what I mean. So we're going to climb, so let's go right up to cruising altitude 24,000 feet. But for now, just enjoy the views, and I'll talk to you more a little bit about the systems and stuff once we're up in the air. So we're just about at top of descent, and as you can see here, we're approaching the hockey stick. Top of descent reached, so let's start heading down right now. Telling us to decelerate, even though the plane is speeding up. Not sure what's going on there, but anyway, it's asking us to enter our descent meter, so let's go ahead and do that right now. So what is the QNH when we get to our arrival destination? So we can go back into the flight info page, load this up, let's refresh this, grabs the data, and we are looking at a reference of 29.83. 29.83, that goes in there. Temperature is 27 degrees. And let's just check the wind. So wind, there is no wind, 0 knots. It's very surprising, but that's the data we've got. And it goes. So we're going to do a full flaps landing. We're going to put in about 800 feet. Again, it's not realistic. I'm just purely trying to give you an idea of what this airplane is like. So one thing I am extremely disappointed in, and is actually going to pose a real big problem over at VATSIM and IVAO and any other network really, and just generally isn't great. Now I know this isn't a fully featured airplane in terms of like system fidelity or system depth, and this is very much an A to B simulation, and that's absolutely fine. I like airplanes like that. It's quick, it's easy, it's fun. But there are some elements that I feel are just part of that whole A to B experience, and basically if I can't fly this plane successfully in VATSIM or another network, then this plane still has work to be done. And a really big thing that can happen in VATSIM, especially during an event, is holding. So this airplane doesn't feature that. I don't know why, but if we go into the waypoint and click hold, it's not implemented. Now, I am using a release candidate build to film this. It comes out on the 7th of October, which is tomorrow, and I'm unavailable tomorrow to film anything. So I will add something in the description if this does get implemented on the release. But we've been told by Aerosoft that there's going to be things that are not 100% ready. And when we've asked for what those things will be, they have not told us. There's like a private media thing, there's a bunch of us, and they basically said to us, hey, here's the airplane, go ahead, fly it, be aware it's coming up on the 7th, and here's your options. But that was it. There was no information in terms of what was wrong with it, what is going to be improved, what's going to be ready for launch. And actually, just whilst we're just on things that are wrong, this is another problem I see. So we're descending now, obviously down to 15,000 feet. In fact, let's just change that to be a bit lower. Now, the plane's trying to stay in time with the descent profile, but it's completely ignoring the speed. So we're about to overspeed, and I'm going to just let it do it and just see what happens. And you're probably going to hear the overspeed warning horn in just a moment. In fact, it should be sounding now. That is definitely within the boundaries. So I know that A330 is notorious for not being able to descend and maintain speed at the same time, but it should be telling us to add drag. Because the minute I start to add drag, this will probably fix itself pretty quickly. So let's just add full drag, full spoilers. Change this. So QNH again. 2903, 2903. And that syncs, that's fine. Change that to 0. So yeah, I've applied full spoiler, and now our speed is back into neutral state. But now it's telling us our speed brakes are still out. So yeah, I'm aware of that, but let's put them into half just to maintain that descent profile and speed. Anyway, as I was saying, so for context with Frankfurt, when that came out, they were very clear about what was still not yet ready for release. So we did get a pre-release copy, and there were a few little areas that needed some work. In fact, there was quite a lot of areas. There's a long bullet-pointed list. But either way, we had awareness. With this, we didn't have any awareness, and me and the other content creators are kind of scratching our heads really about what's going to be implemented for launch, what's not. I'm recording this on Sunday the 6th. It's kind of 10:30 in the morning, UK time, and there's still no information about what's to come. And it's proven very difficult for us to create content, which is why I'm hoping that when this video comes out, there will be some changes. That does include holds, that does include offsets, that does include some of the more basic functionality that, in fact, hold functionality is just needed. And also just being able to fix these really, really bad kind of turns on the when you reach different waypoints and stuff. We're going to see in just a moment now when we reach Maz, in just a couple of seconds here now, just how bad this turn will be. It's going to completely overshoot. Like, it should start being to anticipate this turn right now, but we're going to literally overfly the waypoint and then start the turn. There are some other cool things. So we've got True North on here as well. The terrain ND supposedly doesn't work yet, but will be coming. But we'll see about that. Again, this whole thing's kind of like screaming at me. You know, parking speed brake is still out, but if I put it away, you're just gonna speed up rapidly whilst keeping that descent profile. So yeah, it's a shame, because this airplane is something I've been wanting for a very long time now. It's a airplane that has been needed in flight simulation for a long time, especially Microsoft Flight Sim. I know there's some freeware stuff out there, which is awesome. So look, we've literally overflown Maz, and now we're making the turn, and you can just see, especially when you're going kind of at somewhat some speeds, it starts to to make all this turn. Another interesting thing I've noticed, so now the speed's changed to 250 knots because obviously we're descending below 10,000 feet. But the aeroplane prioritizes the descent profile over speed. Now I can change that to open descent, and we're going to see what it prioritizes here. So we are coming back up in terms of the pitch to change our altitude. Again, we're going to be S-ing around, and the speed is now slowly being bled off, which is actually a good thing. Now, I don't know how it's going to handle this section here. And another point of contention is this weird like duplication of the airport and arrival right here on END. I don't know what that's about. I've checked other airports and it still does the same thing. I've checked, I don't have like 2 copies of the airport installed. Yeah, not really sure what's going on here. Anyway, speed's bleeding off, the descent profile staying nicely, being followed, which is good. So we'll see just kind of how the rest of the flight pans out.
Okay, so we're coming up to the waypoint now. We're at just over 8,000 feet. This is a sharp turn for this aeroplane, especially considering its other problems. So, just something else I need to point out. We are running we're 21 miles away. There is no deceleration point here along the route. That is not a function of this aeroplane. So we need to be very, very careful with managing our speed. So I am going to just start managing that right now, just to make sure we're not coming in too hot for the airplane. So I'm going to slow us right down to 200 knots, and we'll see how that handles that and descending. So I'm going to pull out the speed brakes because that seems only fair. So let's just see how this turn is now handled by the aeroplane. So, yet again, we're now completely overflying the waypoint. And now we start the turn. Look how late that is, and look how much that is going to impact now our approach into Puerto Rico. So as we are doing a turn, just going to double check everything's all set up for the arrivals. We've got our landing lights on. I should have turned them off earlier, but hey, this is just to show you off the aeroplane. So the speeds come down quite nicely. We've had full flaps out, full speed brake out. But just look at this turn. It's just awful. Just really, really, really bad. And let's just put a direct in, just see if that does anything. That seems to do a little bit of something, I guess. But yeah, so this is an RNAV approach into Puerto Rico. It's quite cool. So we'll see how this airplane handles that as we continue to fly. But yeah, just look how off we are. So we have here on here as well constraints. From a few test flights I did previously on another route, the constraints were not really adhered to that well. It did kind of fly straight through them. I need to do some more testing before I kind of have any more valid concerns on that, but from the short time I did, I mean, let's just program less than 2,100 feet, right? Let's see what happens here. So yeah, the airplane will the airplane will see us going all the way down through. So let's activate the approach phase. Let's try and get that speed to come down ASAP. So yeah, we've got the descent profile here. Again, we've overshot this, but all of this is coming in, which is nice, and it's going to help us guide us to the runway for the approach. But now we're speeding up, so let's get those speed brakes back out again. Now we're speeding up, and I don't know why. I've asked you to slow down. So I'm going to put the speed into manual mode. I feel like I am dangerously high, and I should have recognized this before, but that's the runway, and we're at 5,000 feet, and this is saying we're okay? This isn't right. Let's just add some flaps. Let's see if we can get this down. This airplane is just got a mind of its own. Even with flaps out, is trying to catch this profile. There's the runway. Yeah, we're not going to be making this. Oh dear. Okay, let's initiate some kind of go around. I mean, there's not even a go around in here. Yeah, let's just do some manual stuff. Let's get this to 3,000 feet. Open descent. Let's do this again. This is going to make for some great entertainment. So again, this is a pre-release build of the A330, and when I say pre-release, it says release candidate 2 or something in the build, but that could mean anything. So yeah, I can't even follow this profile because I still don't know if that's accurate or not. So it's going to be a visual approach now, and this is just what is so frustrating about this airplane. It's got so much potential, and for something that's been in development for so long, it's such a, it's just feels so incomplete and half-baked in so many areas, and it's frustrating as hell, because this aeroplane is meant to be, it feels kind of like a rush job. It feels like Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 is going to come out with its own A330 from a different developer, so this felt like it needed to come out ASAP. I could be completely wrong. It could be, maybe this is just a weird build, and maybe the release build will not be like this whatsoever. But the experience I'm seeing from other people in this like media thing is, it's not ideal. It's not ideal at all. So we're going to descend now to 2,500 feet. Do an open descent. Let's get this speed down to 160. Let's just make everything nice and managed so we can have a nice smooth approach. So let's now add in this direct. In fact, let's reprogram the approach. Is it gonna immediately take us? I don't know what I'm seeing. So obviously we're not gonna go there. So even though I've asked it to kind of take us there, it's still inputting the thing from Maz. Okay. Sounds like this aeroplane is struggling just to maintain its speed, but I guess I am putting it through its paces a little bit more than I did earlier. Okay, so let's put the auto speed back on, see if this handles it any better now. Again, we've completely overshot warpay. Add that back in. Okay, so we are 13 miles out. This is looking a bit better in terms of our approach. Let's see if we can see the runway out there. Somewhere over here in the distance. So let's drop the gear. Where's the gear? Where's the gear? Oh my god, okay. G worked, but the toggle didn't. Oh my god. Okay. Right, flaps 3. Guys, I'm so sorry. I had practiced this route twice to get it out and help you out. I'm gonna just land this thing manually, get on the ground. There's the runway. See if this actually works. I think I could just literally fly anywhere and I was gonna say I'm perfectly fine. So we've got our gear down. Let's set that to 3,000 feet. Let's go around altitude. We've got flaps full. We've got our speed brake armed. Cabin is ready, I guess. Lovely. There's the runway. The engines are all over the place. Gear is down. Let's see what this looks like outside. Again, modelling. Lovely. Love the model. Okay. Anyway, I'll let you guys just enjoy the approach now. Again, don't judge me. This is not meant to be super realistic, but again, just as a way of showing you what the A330 is like, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the approach, and let's see if I can nail the landing.
$1,000. $100 above. Minimum. $500. $400. $300. $200. $100. $50. $40. 30, 20, retard, 5,
Okay, here we are, down in Puerto Rico. So yeah, that was interesting. Handling kind of all over the place in terms of, well, I didn't know if that was me or if it was the airplane, but you could certainly hear those engines pulling up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and there was literally no wind. So I wasn't exactly trying to cause too much of a altitude or attitude or a pitch change whilst flying it, but yeah, interesting airplane. I'm not going to do the whole taxi and stuff, but I will just set the APU just so you can hear that start up. Yeah, overall this is a disappointment. This is not an airplane that I would, in this state, if this is how it comes out, this is not what I would recommend. Obviously this is still very much your first look, so do wait for the full review, but right now it's very hard to recommend with all these issues. I mean, just that landing gear issue we had earlier, I don't know if anyone else has had that before, but I have done 3 flights of this, and every single time the landing gear has been an issue. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it was a bit rough and raw and not really our usual polished standards, but this was just really designed to give you an idea of the aeroplane just in its current state as it is. I hope you found it somewhat enjoyable, entertaining. Do leave a comment, let us know what you thought of it down below. But that's it for now. My name's Callum, and enjoy the rest of your flight simulation day. And remember, head to FSElite.net for all of your flight simulation news, reviews, and so much more.